All right, hey guys, how's it going? It's Joy. I am back again with another video. I hope that you guys are doing well and I hope that you guys are staying safe. So, you guys, I wanted to touch on some topics here. Um some topics that I was actually thinking about and also some topics that a few people did post on my comment section. So, and this was actually something, you guys, that I received a message. I think this was about a year ago. So, I did want to cover this as well, but I do want to touch on a few other things, you guys. Give me one moment here. Let's review this, you guys. So, let's see. And first of all, if this is you guys' first time watching me, again, I am a narcissist abuse coach. I've been dealing with narcissists since 2006, and since 2017, I have been helping former victims, now survivors, heal, move on, and recover after dealing with narcissistic abuse. So I did just want to highlight that to you guys if this is first time listener. But you guys, I wanted to see some topics here. So I was thinking about emotional unavailable people, right? Do any of you guys find that, you find yourself in an emotionally unavailable like relationship or friendship, and hence, the narcissist of course is emotionally unavailable. So I was just wondering, how do you guys feel about that, right? And then and also I did want to talk about, childhood traumas, and also a topic that I was thinking about was let's see here. So individual was talking about their narcissist was like using them. Oh, he said that she gaslit him. So we're going to talk about how narcissists definitely will gaslight you. They'll use that against you, right? And I feel like, we talked about that before, but it's always good to kind of, bring that kind of stuff up to the surface. But emotionally unavailability and why we attract individuals who are emotionally unavailable for. So if you are not sure what it means to be emotionally unavailable, let's kind of talk. Let's first off go over that just so we can kind of touch on that. And it doesn't have to be just, a male narcissist. Remember, you guys, we do have females that are narcissists as well. So let's, make sure that we're aware of that. But if you go to Google, it says being emotionally unavailable means someone struggles to connect with their own feelings and as a result struggles to connect with others on an emotional level. This can manifest as difficulty expressing emotions, avoiding deep conversations, and withdrawing from emotional intense situations. It's not necessarily a lack of caring, but rather a difficulty in processing and expressing feelings in a healthy way. So let's talk a little bit more about it. Core characteristics of emotionally unavailability. So difficulty expressing emotions. They may struggle to articulate their feelings or may avoid doing so altogether. Avoidance of vulnerability. They may find it hard to open up and they may find it hard to be open and honest about their feelings, especially in close relationships. Trust with intimacy. They may keep others at a distance, both physically and emotionally, and struggle with emotional closeness. Resistance to emotional depth. They may prefer to keep conversations on a superficial level and avoid topics that require emotional vulnerability. Difficulty in understanding and responding to others' emotions. May struggle to empathize with or respond appropriately to the emotions of others. Now we can kind of talk about what is the cause of that, especially if you felt like your narcissist was emotionally unavailable, or maybe you feel like you were emotionally unavailable, hence maybe why you attracted that situation, right? Um, Give me one more. Okay. So it says here, okay. All right. So some of the causes, of course, can be past traumas, experienced like emotional neglect, abandonment, or abuse can create patterns of emotional withdrawal as a coping mechanism, fear of vulnerability. Some individuals fear being hurt or overwhelmed by their own emotions or the emotions of others. Learned behavior, growing up in an environment where feelings were not acknowledged or validated, can lead to emotional suppression. So that can be a thing. So, if you're dealing with someone that is emotionally unavailable, or maybe if you feel like you are emotionally unavailable, that can be kind of something to look into. Impacts on relationships and or friendships. So superficial connections, relationships tend to be as on a surface level, lacking depth or emotional intimacy. Sorry, you guys. Give me 1 second. Oh Lord, sorry y'all. My bad, you guys. So actually, hold on. Let me do something real quick, y'all. I wanna actually wipe something down. But I hope you guys are enjoying your Wednesday. This is Wisdom Wednesdays, right, guys? Wisdom Wednesdays. All right. So I did want to touch on that. I just wanted to wipe something down. Okay. All right, you guys. So regarding okay. So superficial connections, difficulties with commitment, emotionally unavailable individuals may avoid commitment or withdraw before relationships become too serious. All right. And you might be listening for someone that, maybe you're not dealing with this, but maybe somebody that's dealing with someone that's, experiencing this. So it's always good to kind of, keep this in mind, right? But it says important considerations. It says emotionally unavailability exists on a spectrum. Some individuals may be emotionally unavailable in specific situations or with certain people, while others may struggle across all areas of their lives. It also says it's not always intentional. Some people may not even realize that they are being emotionally distant. And it also says understanding the first step, recognizing emotionally unavailability is crucial for addressing and fostering healthy relationships. So that's something to keep in mind. So yeah, emotionally unavailability. It says difficulty expressing feelings, being uncomfortable with your emotions, evaluate your relationship, fear commitment, defensive or anger, avoiding deep conversations, avoidance of emotional intimacy, difficulty sharing emotions, dismissive of feelings, um, inconsistent behavior, poor communication. They avoid intimacy, they avoid commitment, they struggle to display emotions, they struggle to discuss their feelings, you withhold personal feelings and thoughts. And do remember, anyone that is behaving this way, remember it only hurts them more in the end, right? So, I mean, you could have a partner and maybe you feel like you want to help them to open up emotionally. But, I guess the biggest thing you just want to make sure is that you give them time and space to do so. And this could also be a friend. You could have friends that are emotionally unavailable, things of that nature. So yeah, this could be you. Maybe you feel like you're emotionally unavailable or something like that. So it's always good to, seek support, seek assistance. It's nothing wrong with that. As I always tell you guys, it's totally fine. But let's talk about the emotionally unavailable narcissist though, because this channel is more so about narcissists. So it just says an emotionally unavailable narcissist refers to someone because you can have normal people that are emotionally unavailable, and you also have narcissists that are emotionally unavailable. And you guys know that those are two different things because normal people are not narcissists and stuff like that. But yeah, so it just says someone who exhibits traits of both emotional unavailable and narcissistic personality disorder. So this type of emotional unavailable is worse because not only are they emotionally unavailable, but they also have NPD too. So it's like 10 times worse basically. But it says While not all emotionally unavailable people are narcissists, what I just said, right? It says vice versa. Some individuals display characteristics of both. So, emotionally unavailable individuals may struggle with vulnerability, intimacy, and expressing emotions, while narcissists often lack empathy and have inflated sense of self importance. So, you do want to kind of keep that in mind. So yeah. So hopefully that made sense. So the overlap begins, so if it's a narcissist, that's being emotionally unavailable. So, they're distant. So basically it says you can exhibit a tendency to distance themselves from others, either to protect themselves from perceived threats, to maintain a sense of control, difficulty with intimacy, manipulation. Like a normal person has empathy. A normal person, um emotionally unavailable could be driven by past trauma or fear of intimacy, while a narcissist has a need for power, control, and admiration. So, hopefully that makes sense. And then also a regular emotionally unavailable person could change in the future, but with a narcissist, it's not really possible for them to change. So those are some of the biggest differences. And then you all know narcissists lack empathy, while an emotionally unavailable person may have it but struggle to express it or act on it, if that makes sense. So yeah. But that's very interesting. Emotionally unavailable narcissists, right? So let's see what we got here, you guys. So it says emotionally unavailable people relationships are toxic, and it says the patterns will spread to multiple relationships rather than just one. The only hope you have in removing the pattern and the pain from your life is to start with patient, zero yourself, and do the work. So you have to do inner work regarding that. And the narcissist doesn't do inner work. So let's look here. Why we attract. But no, I was actually thinking about it deeperly. I was thinking like, well, why do some people attract emotionally unavailable people? I was kind of thinking of that. Yeah, it says sometimes being drawn to emotionally unavailable people is an attempt to fill a void within yourself. For instance, if you feel like an emotional emptiness or a lack of self-love, focusing on someone unavailable distracts you from addressing these inner feelings. Oh wow. So yeah, so kind of like what I was thinking about, and we'll definitely touch on this on another video. So like, if let's say if you've been connected to someone that's emotionally unavailable, it could say, it could kind of bring something up to the surface as to, maybe what caught your interest about that individual, or maybe, I guess at first you didn't know that that person was emotionally unavailable. But I guess once you find out that that person is emotionally unavailable, and you may still be trying to fix them and try to make things work. That's another thing, trying to fix people, right? But they're just saying, is that an attempt to fill a void within yourself, right? So, and then also fixing people, and just remember that no one can fix anybody but you, right? Or for instance, like, you can't fix another person. That individual that you feel needs fixing, they have to fix themselves, if that makes sense. You can't fix anybody but you, right? Let's look. Yeah, and also says, why do we obsess over emotionally unavailable people? It says the emotional distress caused by rejection might prompt us to try even harder to win over the person who is not interested, in a misguided attempt to avoid the pain. This can lead to a fixation on someone who doesn't return our feelings, driven by a deep-seated fear of social exclusion. Wow, okay. That's very interesting. Mm, 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 mm. Mm, 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 mm. That's interesting, y'all. What do y'all think about that? Okay, and it says people who are drawn to those who are emotionally unavailable, it says, due to a combination of psychological and social factors. This includes the scarcity effect, where someone perceived as rare or difficult to obtain is valued more highly, and the desire for validation and self-esteem. Rejection can also stimulate parts of the brain associated with motivation and reward, leading to an addictive life cycle. Wow. Okay. So, yeah, the scarcity effect. When someone is hard to get, they can be perceived as more desirable simply because they're less accessible. The scarcity can create a sense of challenge and a desire to win the person over. Oh wow, okay. I'm learning this too, y'all. It says this is common phenomenon in romantic relationships. This could also be friends too, where the thrill of the chase can be more exciting than a relationship that is easily established. Validation and self esteem. Chasing someone who ignores you can be a way to seek validation and boost self esteem, especially if you have low self worth. The attention and validation received, even minimum, can seem as proof of one's worth. This can be a subconscious attempt to fill the unmet need for connection and belonging. Okay. Brain chemistry. It says research suggests that romantic rejection can trigger the same parts of the brain that are activated by addiction and cravings, according to psychology and relationship blogs, you guys. Wow, this is interesting. These intense emotions associated with rejection can create a cycle where the person becomes fixated on one individual who is rejecting them. Okay. Yeah, that brain chemistry, boy, that's a doozy right there. Yeah, number 4, it says unresolved childhood issues. Now, I did want to touch on childhood issues, so this is going to lead us to our next topic, but we might do like a part 2. But in some cases, chasing someone who ignores you might be a manifestation of unresolved childhood issues related to attachment and rejection. People who experience inconsistency or unreliable parenting might be more prone to seeking out relationships with unavailable partners. Ding, 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 ding. Y'all, does this make sense or what? This is, yeah, hitting a nail. And I'm not trying to trigger anybody either. Hopefully, this is not any triggers or, this is just an assessment of things, right? Maybe just something to work through, Playing hard to get. Some people play hard to get as a strategy to appear more desirable, even if they are not genuinely uninterested. This can be a manipulative tactic that keeps the other person engaged in the chase. Overlooking positive relationships. People who chase those who ignore them may overlook or undervalue relationships with people who are genuinely interested in them. This can be a result of focusing on perceived challenge or the unavailable person. Oh wow, oh wow, oh wow, oh wow. Understanding these psychological factors can help individuals recognize and address the underlying reasons why they might be drawn to those who are emotionally unavailable and potentially break the cycle of chasing those who ignore them. Yeah, that is a doozy, y'all. How to stop attracting narcissists. To stop attracting narcissistic people, focus on building self confidence, establishing and maintaining firm boundaries, and recognizing narcissistic traits. Additionally, prioritize self care, communicate your needs clearly, and seek professional support if needed. Absolutely, you guys. I love this. This is really good, you guys. It says, remember, emotionally unavailability often stems from a deeper fear of intimacy or rejection. Fears that can complicate someone's experience with love. If falling in love feels scary or threatening, it's only natural that they might try to avoid it. Might not. Oh wait, it says it's only natural that they may try and avoid it entirely. Wow. Okay. But yeah, in regards to emotionally unavailability and childhood traumas, those are some things you might have to address. I do have some book recommendations for you guys. If you guys want to learn more, you can send me an email and I can share with you some recommendations. But dealing with childhood issues, definitely what's helped me was addressing my parents, having a conversation with my parents, doing some activities that where I talk to my inner child, right? And forgiving my parents and forgiving myself and really just kind of sitting with my inner child and, doing mirror work and journaling and things like that. So it's a lot that kind of goes into it. But, it's like I said, it's good to, have someone to listen to you, have someone to teach you new skills, and, being consistent with that. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes that's not easy to have conversations with your parents because, it could be awkward, it can be uncomfortable, and you don't want to hurt your parents' feelings. And if your parents are still living, that's great. If they're not still living, then, that could bring up some other issues. But, with the childhood issues is really, really important, because I feel like a lot of the issues were caused by the childhood, experience, right? Because some people have had great childhoods, other people have not, and I know a lot of the people listening, a lot of the times they have not had good childhoods, unfortunately. And it's a normal thing. I mean, me, myself, I would say my childhood was decent, but there were a lot of things that, I had conversations with my parents about that I was very unhappy with. But we definitely did resolve it, and I've made peace with it. That's another thing. You have to accept some things you can't change. Sometimes you also have to accept that your parents may not be able to show up for you the way that you need them to be, but then it's also a way that you have to become your own parent, and also allow God to be your parent too. That's another thing I'm going to share with you guys in another video. But it's really freeing, really, like when you can forgive your parents, forgive yourself, and really just begin to um show compassion for yourself, and really just nurture your inner child, and let your inner child be free, really. And let yourself be free, but I do want, so we'll save this other topic for another video, because I don't want to do this to be too long. But the gaslighting thing, just note that you probably will get gaslit by the narcissist quite a bit, unfortunately. um Look, this is another thing. It says, what is the psychology behind wanting someone who doesn't want you? It says the brain's happy drug is dopamine. Our brains crave this feeling. So by going for someone we know we can't have, or we can only have sometimes, the brain loves the unpredictability, because the highs are higher than if we got the desired reward all the time. Wow. And it says, why are we always attracted to those who reject us? So why we can't let go of people who continually reject us? According to Helen Fisher and her colleagues, the reason romantic rejection gets us hooked is that this sort of rejection stimulates the part of the brain associated with motivation, reward, addiction, and craving. So it's not even really the fact that, you may really want an individual that rejected you, but, usually it's like it happens for a reason. Or let's just say in some instances where the person that rejects you is like, oh, okay, like, let's say they change their mind. But a lot of times when people reject you, it's for a reason, right? But it's crazy because a lot of times you don't even really want that person. It's kind of like you just want, it's like an addiction, like, which is crazy, So, you want to be mindful of that, and, definitely kind of going for healthier situations, you know what I mean? So yeah. Yeah, why do we obsess over someone who doesn't want us? Intense feelings of rejection can stimulate the same regions of the brain associated with addiction, craving, motivation. When the crush you are occupied with rejects you or shows lack of interest, it can activate a part of the brain that makes you want them more. Wow. Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm. Very interesting, you guys. Very interesting. But yeah, gaslighting. Gaslighting. Why do the narcissist likes to gaslight? Why? Why? Why does the gas why I said why does the gaslight? Why does the narcissist like to gaslight their victims? Yes, gaslighting is particularly insidious form of emotional abuse where a person manipulates another into doubting their own perceptions, memories, and sanity. This tactic is often employed by individuals with narcissistic personality traits to maintain power control over their victims. And the individual was basically saying that it was a female narc he was dealing with, that she was pretty much gaslighting, that she was like, it sounded like she just wanted her cake and eat it too, basically, and she was trying to gaslight him into not leaving, basically. She still wanted him as a supply, pretty much, so she can kind of do whatever with him and kind of like play him and use him, pretty much. So, but we'll touch on that on another video. But anyway, I hope that this video made sense. Let me know, what are you guys' comments on emotional unavailability, childhood traumas, and things like that. We are going to talk about some other things too that was brought up. So, but anyway, I love you guys always. See you all in the next video. Take care. Bye, guys.